Each pilot has an audio selector panel located on the pedestal. An audio select panel for the observer is located on the first observer's panel. The audio selector panel permits two-way communication between the flight interphone, cabin service interphone, the COM radio systems, and provides access to the PA system. Additionally, the audio selector panel allows identification monitoring of selected navigational aids, such as VOR, ILS, marker beacon, and ADF signals. Mic switches located at the top of the panel are used to select a transmitter. When pushed in, the selector illuminates to indicate the selected transmitter and associated receiver. When another transmitter is selected, the previous one is deselected. The Oxy boom switch is used to select either the oxygen mask microphone or the boom microphone. The handheld microphone is not affected by the Oxy boom switch. The mask or boom microphone can be operated by the switch on the control wheel or the push-to-talk switch on the audio selector panel. To transmit on the oxygen mask mic, the Oxy boom selector must be in the Oxy position. The receiver control switches are used to select the source of audio to be monitored by the cockpit speaker and headset. Pushing the switch turns the receiver on or off. Volume is controlled by rotating the switch. Each speaker has a rotating knob that allows additional volume control. The filter selector is used to select ADF transmissions to be monitored. In the voice position, only voice communications can be heard. In the range position, only station identifiers can be heard. The both position allows both voice and station identifiers to be monitored. Now let's try a question. Now let's look at the flight interphone system. The flight interphone system permits communications between flight crew members and ground crew by connecting all audio select panels and the remote APU control panel. To use the flight interphone system, the interphone mic selector must be selected on, the flight cabin switch selected to flight, and the volume adjusted. Selecting flight will connect the hand mic, oxygen mask, or boom mic to the flight interphone system. Now let's look at the cabin service interphone system. The cabin service interphone is a party line type network that connects all stations in the airplane. These stations include all audio selector panels, the handsets in the cabin and the cockpit, and the service interphone jacks both inside and outside the aircraft. To use the cabin service interphone, the interphone mic selector must be on. The flight cabin switch selected to cabin, and the volume adjusted. The cabin interphone or passenger address system can be controlled with a handset or with the audio selector panel via the flight cabin switch or the PA switch. Selecting cabin will connect the hand mic, oxygen mask, or boom mic to the respective system. Several service interphone jacks for communication with ground personnel are located both inside and outside the aircraft. The interphone jacks are controlled with the service interphone switch located on the auxiliary panel. The switch is normally selected off to reduce background noise on the interphone system. Let's now look at handset operation. The audio selector panel is not required when using the handset to talk on the cabin service interphone. The handsets at the flight attendant stations are identical to the ones in the cockpit. To make a PA announcement with the handset, first select PA. Then press and hold the push-to-talk switch. The push-to-talk switch is used for PA announcements only. PA announcements from the cockpit overrides all other stations. PA announcements can also be made with the audio selector panel using the handheld, boom, or oxygen microphones. A blue PA in use light on the overhead panel illuminates any time the PA systems are being used. There are cabin call switches located on the handset to call a specific cabin area. When a cabin area is called, a high-low chime sounds in the cabin and a pink call light illuminates in the area being called. Crew alerting is accomplished with the call alert switch. When the switch is pressed, the high-low chimes sound 3 times in the cabin, and the pink call light flashes in all cabin areas. In addition, a single high chime sounds in the cockpit, accompanied by a blue alert light and location light on the cell call panel on the overhead. When the handset is picked up, the system is reset and the call light extinguishes. The call system can also be reset by pressing the lighted switch. This method is desirable when using the boom mic. Now let's try a few questions. Let's look at the cabin call panel. The cabin call panel located on the overhead has the same call switches as the handset. In addition, the ground crew can be called by pressing the ground call switch. The flight interphone switch on the cell call panel is used to connect the flight interphone and the cabin service systems. This requires that the flight cabin switch on the audio selector panel be set to cabin. Next, let's discuss VHF communications. There are 3 VHF control panels located on the center pedestal. The left and right VHF radios are normally used for ATC and company communications. The center VHF radio is used by ACARS. Each panel allows the selection of 2 independent frequencies. A frequency transfer switch is used to select the desired frequency. A light above the frequency window illuminates to indicate which frequency is selected. Now for a question. Let's look at HF communications. Some airplanes have 2 HF radios installed on the overhead panel. The HF mode selector has 3 positions: off, USB or upper sideband, which is the normal mode used for all HF communications, and AM, which limits the effective range of transmissions. The RF sense control provides control of receiver gain to minimize background noise. Frequency selections are made with 2 concentric controls located below the frequency readout. To use the HF radio, select the appropriate switches on the audio selector panel and place the mode selector on the HF panel to the desired position. Then select the desired frequency and key the mic. A tone will be heard during the antenna tuning process. When the tone ceases, the tuning operation is complete and transmission is possible. Simultaneous transmission on both radios is not possible. Now let's try a question. Let's discuss the cockpit voice recorder. The cockpit voice recorder control panel is located on the overhead panel. The test switch is used to check the 4 voice record channels. When the switch is pressed, the monitor indicator needle deflects into the green band, then pulses 4 times if all 4 channels are operating. The erase switch is used to erase the voice recorder. The airplane must be on the ground with the brakes set. and the button pressed and held for 10 seconds to erase the recorder completely. Now let's try a question. Now let's take a look at some differences. The audio selector panel on the 767ER aircraft has two distinct differences over the 757. First, the flight cabin switch has been eliminated from the panel, and the push-to-talk switch has been moved to that position. Second, a right ADF control has also been added to the ER audio panel.